How come he don't want me, man?
Henry Cavill getting fired by James Gunn is the best thing that could have ever happened to his career. Let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone. It is I, the Dumble whose door is always open. Gandalf, no gray, no white, all black. Not Mr. Terrific, but Dr. Terrific. But I still believe in fair play. And Jordy LaForge captaining this enterprise. I am Left Eye Ego. And we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the more recent news about Henry Cavill not being brought back as Superman for James Gunn's version of Superman. Now, I know this news sent shockwaves through both the DC and even Marvel fandoms, and it generated a lot of mostly negative reactions to this news. And everyone between your media pundit to your man on the street had something to say about it. And it made it even more infuriating when we heard that Ta-Nehisi Coates' Super Black Man movie was still in development at DC. But I want to say that this is actually the best news that Henry Cavill could have ever received, and I'll tell you why. First thing I want to say is I want to address the main reason why I know that a lot of us are upset. I think that a lot of us viewed or saw ourselves in Henry Cavill. He is that geek that could hang out with us, but the cool kids, the popular kids, they actually accepted him. And so it made it even all the more inspiring when someone that was the person that was working with Warhammer or building their own computer wound up being our Superman, the savior. And so when we saw that he actually didn't succumb to the peer pressure with leaving The Witcher and saying that I choose to reprise my role as Superman, it was a big moment for all of us. And it made it even all the more upsetting and infuriating when we found out that our leader, our king of the geeks, was unceremoniously done dirty. I actually want to say that why this is technically the best thing that could have ever happened to his career. Uh, Number one, being Superman can be the best thing that ever happened to you, but can also be a career killer. We remember Christopher Reeves. He did Superman movies, and for the rest of his career, that's all we really saw him as. He couldn't be anything other than Superman, which could sound great because who else, when they see you, would say, "Hey, I only see you as faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a seeming locomotive, able to leap tall buildings within a single bound." Who wouldn't want to be known as that all the time? Only problem is that if you actually have the talent, and that's all people see you as, you can't be anything other than that. Another example of that would be Michael Rosenbaum with the Smallville series. Phenomenal actor who nailed the portrayal of Lex Luthor. And even though he got out 2 to 3 seasons before the series finale, that's all we could see him as. I mean, I remember when we were doing a Heroes No Capes taping, I forgot in real time who he voiced as the Flash. And so when you nail these iconic roles, sometimes it can actually be detrimental to your actual development as an actor or actress in the profession. The main reason why I'm saying this is the best thing that could have ever happened to Henry Cavill, I'll give you one word: Brightburn. Now, if you don't remember or haven't seen Brightburn, it was a 2019 movie that was actually produced by James Gunn as well as his brother Brian and their cousin Mark Gunn. And this movie was supposed to be the take on Superman that was about him being, an alien child raised by a family in Kansas. And it turns out that he's actually more sinister than he is benevolent. Now, the main thing about this is the fact that this movie came on the heels of James Gunn being canceled for some tweets that he put in the past. And this is also in the heels of coming off of the major success that was Guardians of the Galaxy. And so he winds up sending out some tweets, gets canceled, and now his first foray back into the movie superhero genre, who does he choose to pick on? In his anger, in his despair, in somewhat of his vitriol, he could have chosen to parody Iron Man, Captain America, the Hulk, Hawkeye, Thor, because he was actually in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He didn't choose to parody characters from the company from which he'd seen massive success. Who did he choose? Superman. He chose to portray him as someone that was sociopathic, inherently evil, and towards the end of Brightburn, there was a suggestion that he wasn't the only one of his kind to exist, and that the versions of him that did exist were evil as well. And so this to me isn't someone that actually believes in superheroes or likes them. It's very similar to Christopher Nolan with the uh, Dark Knight trilogy. He made the characters so grounded that there wasn't anything fantastic or super about them because Christopher Nolan doesn't like superheroes either. And so, it actually leads to the fact that this is going to let Henry Cavill actually pick and choose what he wants to do in the future. I knew that he's getting a gig with doing Warhammer, and I mean, I from his posts, he's actually been doing it for 20 to 30 years. And so we are seeing someone that's our king of the geeks actually choosing to go where he's celebrated. And that's not something that we should actually be upset about, but something we should actually celebrate ourselves. Someone with the actual ability to choose where he wants to go, choosing where he wants to go. And so the other thing is more so the Ta-Nehisi Coates controversy in itself. And I know a lot of people are having their own thoughts and opinions about it, but I would rather let you guys know in a follow-up video coming up at some point about celebrating the actual Black characters that we do have. And the problem isn't the fact that we don't have these Black characters, because they're not in short supply at all. It's actually what happens to their property or their trademark or their characteristics over time. And that's something that I'd rather talk to you guys about and celebrate, rather than getting more into the controversy about race swapping these characters or greenlighting the Black version of a character instead of the traditional white counterpart. But instead of being in despair and being upset about what happened to Henry Cavill, I'd rather choose to celebrate and say, "Hey, kings to you, Albert, Henry Cavill." For now, E.G.O out.